Hey up, cock. People keep asking me, where are the reviews? Here are the reviews, okay? And what could have started off as a fantastic weekend has turned into a shitter. For me personally. Not to do with championship results, well, so you can guess. But let's start here with Cardiff versus the Swans, because obviously the Friday night it were a 0-0 with Burnley and Sunderland, so we do not care. Apart from Isidore doing like a top 10 respect moments when he tried the fake crying gimmick. Trafford, 2 very good penalty saves. So, Cardiff 3, Swans 0 first in the South Wales derby. Some serious limos here, by the way, some serious limbs. Obviously, we do the Championship and League One predictions now, as well as separate videos on here. And I did think Cardiff would win. So that's one of the very small wins that I've taken from them this week. But it is because of what I said. Like Swansea away at Portsmouth, for example, they got absolutely slapped 4-0 because you're trying to play a certain style of play in a very hostile environment where it's not somewhere you want to be, being as calm as composed as possible, like playing it right back, tippy-tappy bollocks. This is a place where it's going to be high intensity, very high press from Cardiff, and a mistake from Swansea gave him one of the goals, just like handed on a plate to him for the second one for Robinson. It's absolute suicide that we keep seeing from loads of different managers that do it up and down a pyramid at different levels. You look at literally Carlisle at bottom of League 2 with Williamson doing the same stuff as Southampton were with Russell Martin, as Tottenham are doing with Ange. Get a grip. Change your style if it's not working. It is doing my head in. I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even... Swansea down in 13th, I'm not going to bother. They didn't make loads and loads of clear-cut chances. None of these sides did. It looked quite edgy from the bits that I've seen. I didn't watch the game, but it did look quite edgy. Cardiff have just got the odd little bit of quality, like obviously the third one's a set piece. But Robinson is one of very few players at Cardiff that has looked the part, really, for parts of this season. Like obviously the win that they got away at Watford, he were a large part of it. I do think he's leading line, really, as sort of one of the chances that Cardiff have got to stay up when you look at some of the other sides around them in bottom of league. But because of our Swansea play, it did look like a Cardiff win from off. I'm quite glad that they have done, because this woke shit that's happening with these teams and these managers. It gets Cardiff out at bottom 3 again. Very, very, very tight from Luton upwards. Plymouth, I'm sorry, but you are this year's Rotherham. Unlucky. Millwall lost 1-0 to Hull. Now, that's quite a big one down at bottom as well. I'm not going to go into depth on this one because there's a lot to talk about today. But like I've said before about Hull, since Ruben Sellers has come in, they're much, much harder to beat. There's not loads and loads of goals going in at either end, apart from the Leeds game when it was 3-apiece. But there's not a lot of goals anywhere, really. They're a lot harder to beat. They're a lot more structured, a lot more compact, harder to break down. They're looking quite nice all at the minute. Millwall, however, come on, because you're going to get slowly dragged into this. I think they'll be fine. But selling Romanesi, that's a lot of your attacking flair gone for a side that scores minimal goals anyway. Could be a little bit nervy. They need to spend some of that brass now instead of waiting until summer from the Romanesi stuff. If they sell Tanganga as well, it could just be turn it gun round on yourself, couldn't it? There would be serious shit if they sell him as well this window. Plymouth 0 QPR 1. Yeah, I mean, just look at these stats, man. Just look at these stats. I've said for ages about QPR and the performances that they've been putting in. It's going to shoot them up table. It has done. They're miles away from bottom 3. They're close to top 6 now. Maybe an outside shout at it, in all honesty. But we've got to talk about Plymouth. Because, yes, they've lost 1-0. But if Grimshaw weren't in net for this game, that could have been an absolute slaughterhouse. Everybody's talking about Plymouth's new manager. And this inspirational speech that he's given and stuff like that. You're speaking to a brick wall. These players are not good enough. End of. Look at this team. Come on. Come on. What is happened to my face? It's just not good enough. Again, QPR made some very, very good chances. They can cut Plymouth up and like easily. But it is, I think it's a mixture of QPR making the chances themselves, but also some like calamity defending from Plymouth. And another day, if QPR are more clinical, this could honestly have been like 5-0. Even the ones where Grimshaw didn't save them, because he made some very good saves. QPR are missing like sitter after sitter, like not even hitting target. And if they do, it's a cricket score, honestly. It was that dominant from what I've seen. Every highlight was just QPR, QPR, QPR. So as shit as Plymouth are, QPR is 6 points off top 6. So, never say never. Cobb 1, Bristol City 0. From seeing highlights of this, and from seeing Bristol City before, I normally don't have loads and loads to say about them because they bought life out of me. Same as like a Swansea or a Preston, just sat in the middle doing note, as we all know. They're very sharp. Do you know what I mean? The midfielders and the attacking players, I really, really enjoy watching like the highlights of them. Not so much the game itself with Bristol City because they've never got out to play for, but the highlights, they can cut teams up and very, very easily. A lot of their players aren't turning, attacking third and slip somebody in. Like how many times do you see one-on-ones now in football? A lot of teams are much more structured. It's not as like free-flowing up and everybody just gets, it's like a free-for-all, is it? Bristol City have got constant one-on-ones, I think, and it's down to how fast they can create chances and get people to slip through. If they're more clinical, they'll probably be a lot higher up table. Speaking about Coventry, though, I do think Lampard is stripping it back to roots a little bit, maybe from his playing days, because Coventry, they do create good chances as well. Not to the same level of Bristol City, I don't think. Obviously, the stats are different here, but Coventry create different chances to that Bristol City would make. The thing that I'm liking with Coventry now, as opposed to what I've not seen them do much this season, is if you've not got a pass on an edge at box where a lot of people want to play perfect ball and walk it into net, a lot of Coventry players will just hit it from edge. And they're scoring a lot of goals recently because of it. It's like a blast front pass. If it's on site, just hit it. And the goal weren't that as such. It's not like an edge at box screamer, but it's from an angle that you wouldn't really have had a shot from before. I think a lot of these players now are drill that across box rather than trying to catch keeper out near post, top corner, lift it off floor, and it's in. Really good finish. But I'm liking look at Coventry a little bit recently. And Bristol City, in fairness, I think a draw looked quite fair, especially with the chance that Bristol City had where they went through. But I'm liking both of these sides, really. I think this is two top half teams. Bristol City the lower of the top half, as always. Derby lost 2-0 to Watford. Again, I think Paul Warne's getting a lot of flack for this. Obviously, they've not won in a long time. They cannot buy wins anymore for some reason. But they're not clinical enough at the same time. I do think the chances that they made were quite good, some of them. And if it's like 6-inch either side, it probably ends up a draw or a win for Derby this game. But Watford, very, very fast on break. The counter-attacking that they can do and the pace that they've got, especially down width, it's serious. And after quite poor form recently for Watford, especially for a side that have been in and out playoffs for a long time, to drop down to like 8th before this game, and they're still 8th now. There's a chance there. I think they offer something different that a lot of sides haven't got, which is just a blistering pace going forward. Derby, 4 losses in a row though, so as much as I said that I think it's quite harsh on Paul Warne, is it? It's not, I mean, because they're in 19th, they're only a point in front at bottom 3, so it could be dodgy in that. Luton 0-0, couldn't care less. Oxford 1, Blackburn 0. I'll tell you what, the form that these fellas are in, what is happening? Since Rowett come in, what is it, 4 wins, 2 draws? If we go to like form table set, let's have a look. Yeah, it's 4 wins, 2 draws out of the last 6 games. Like, only Leeds have got better record than that. Where are these compared to like everybody else in the table? Are they like... Yeah, well, it's a bit ridiculous looking at topping it, but the clawing away. They're chipping away nicely. Obviously, really good free kick from Brannigan again. Serious player. A lot of people weren't like understanding the hype from him, I don't think. From like a League One... Why am I a League One fan? From a person whose team is in League One and seeing these come up last year, I thought he would seamlessly make the step up to Championship because he's very, very good. I don't think he's been as good as people like myself thought it would have been in this league. I thought he would have genuinely come up and just like stood out quite easily in this Oxford team. But they made some very good signings. One of which I haven't spoke about yet, is Hellick from Huddersfield. I'm going to do a TikTok on it probably today. So at the time you're watching this, there'll be a TikTok on this more in depth on it. But I think everybody's looking at it from the Huddersfield negative point of view, like why are you selling this guy? But or to a side like Oxford, people might say. But this bloke is I would genuinely say, is a top half Championship centre back, and obviously he's been thrown straight in here off of probably knowing these players for 5 seconds. He might have had one training session at a push with him to then be thrown straight in. It did get done a couple times early on, but after that settled in quite well. He is going to be an absolute rock for this team. Seriously, he's very, very good. Sheffield United 2, Norwich 0. Just another very boring professional win from Sheffield United. Squad's still looking quite thin, like to the point where you've got to put Burrows further up than left back, which I think is his best position normally. Obviously scored 2. First one's a very good finish, second one definite penalty, just easy. Him and nearly scored from halfway line. And again, when I've said about teams have got certain players, no, they aren't actually. There's a couple players in this league that could probably do something like that or try something like that. And Sheffield United have got one of them in him. A lot of players won't even think about doing that. And I know it's not gone in, but I think from like a psychological view, it's lifted crowd at Sheffield United. Norwich players and fans are probably like a bit nervy thinking he's nearly just scored like a Puskas award-winning goal. Do you know what I mean? I think it can unnerve teams, especially if they don't create a great deal, because Norwich are just passing it round back 24/7 from what I've heard and seen. No shots on target. The only real danger all game were Cooper nearly throwing it in his own net. But again, very professional win. Norwich without Borja Sands or Sargent look completely void of ideas, so there could be a bit of a worry for him. Baggies 1, Stoke 1. Tony Mowbray's back. Let's go. I'm happy for the bloke. But my main talking point here is this man. It is Nathan Lowe. He's come straight from Warsaw, been plopped straight into the team, and scored a very, very tidy finish straight away. If you've not seen it, go and watch it after this, like the highlights. But for him to reposition his body that fast and not only get a flick on it, but redirect it into far post away from where the keeper is he's a very, very serious striker, him, honestly. I don't think he'll be at Stoke long, let's put it that way. I could see him being all right towards the end of this year. They're not going to bring another striker in to replace him in summer, definitely not. Next year, I think he could seriously crack on, and then he'll be gone to Prem. You can see there's something serious there. Like, he's... The variety of goals that he was scoring at Walsall, he'd score every type of goal. Do you know what I mean? He's tall, he's physical, he's fast, his positioning is very, very good. And like I've said just then, to be able to reposition your body that fast when a ball's coming at you from me to Bedaway, to then reposition it and redirect it other end is serious, serious number 9 him. And West Brom, they're in 6th at minute. I do think the appointment of Mowbray is good. They've not got that coach who's going to come and try and like change everything in the space of 5 seconds. Do you know what I mean? 14 draws and counting though. It's very, very tight from Blackburn down with playoff spaces. I think, like I just said, I think the appointment of Mowbray is good because it's just going to be steady away to end of season maybe, and then you can sort of change what you want then when you've got more time. The fact that they're hard to beat could go in the favour of West Brom. I think they'll be like 8th upwards. And then last one on Saturday, obviously we've got a Sunday game to talk about, which will be a laugh. Portsmouth 2, Middlesbrough 1. Latte again, really nice finish, just rounds keeper, light work. Matt Ritchie's first goal were actually really good. For how he took that, the angle of his body, really impressive. Second one, absolute fluke bag. But you've got to get a bit of luck, ain't you, if you want to survive in these leagues. I don't really know what's happened to Middlesbrough because they've like fallen off a cliff recently. 15th form table for last 5. Last 10's not much better, is it? Like, the last 10 games is a better gauge. 13th, like, they're just sliding away a little bit a minute. Portsmouth, however, up to 15th, pulling away from other shite bags down at bottom that's near him. Which I did say, you know what it is with me? Maybe I don't know anything about like top ends of leagues. But down at bottom, which is where, as a Barnsley fan, I've spent my entire life almost down at like bottom 5 in Championship. I think I'm all right with that. So like my Shrewsbury calling League One to stay up, Portsmouth to stay up here. Maybe I'm onto something. And then with top end at league, I'm obviously not, because I have Middlesbrough as like a dead cert for top 6. And they're being dragged into it a little bit, into this fight. Do you know what I mean? They look like quite an easy 5th place for me. Because obviously top 4 have pulled away. I had Sunderland like as a guaranteed 4th for a long time, but that's changed recently. Middlesbrough I thought would just be like cemented in 5th, happy days. But they're being dragged into this where like anybody from almost Coventry upwards, you could say, could more or less get in still. But yeah, Portsmouth, obviously they're on level points with Hull. And it's very tight down at bottom as well, but I think they'll be sound, honestly. And then we'll end here with Leeds 3, Wednesday 0. I don't think it were a 3-0 game. Do you know what I mean? Leeds definitely deserved to win, but I don't think it was 3-0. That flatters them a little bit. Obviously, absolute bollock dropped from a keeper in this game very early on. You would instantly assume it's Meslier because he's absolutely shit. But Beadle seriously looked like a lost puppy in the first 5 minutes when that goal went in. But after that, there was nothing really happening. Like, first half, I thought were quite even. There were no, like, massive, clear-cut chances created for either side. The one where Windass could have got his shot off earlier, but it would defended quite well, in fairness. But I don't think, in between both boxes, I don't think there's a lot separating these sides. Which is crazy, because I've raved about Leeds midfield for a long time. Like, Rothwell and Tanaka, very, very good players. I think Aronson's a bit light. I think they're carrying Aronson a little bit. Same as Piru. Millier's obviously shit. But Aronson and Piru, I think, are the weak points in this side. Defensively very good. Borg had a really good game. Charles were good. But I don't think there were a lot separating these two in between both boxes. The thing that does separate them is the back two of Leeds, which is, that it takes some serious stopping, I think, a lot of time. But also the clinicalness of Leeds compared to Wednesday. Like, Leeds made minimal chances, I thought, but took them well. Wednesday, when they get to put it final ball into the box, like when they brought this winger, what's his name, this Valentin, he's dog shit. I'm sorry, he's crap. There were a moment in second half where he's got, like, honestly, just a whip ball low and hard across box, and Windass has got a tap in, and he skied it. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. You're getting minimal chances away at Leeds anyway. When you get them, you need to take them. And to lift a ball and launch it to Wakefield from an easy slide across box is shit. Not to mention, like, the fact that they're not bringing in players. They're going to sign a load of, like, gizmos on deadline day out on the Wednesday, because that's how Chansiri works. What a boy. Charles obviously being recalled, but that's like a precautionary thing with Southampton and the Chelsea lad that could be recalled. But I think Charles is better than that bloke from Chelsea anyway. So I don't see why Southampton would loan Charles back out again. If I were Southampton's higher-ups, I would literally just keep him and prepare for next year. Because why loan him to a top championship side when you can get him ready at Premier League now? Because you're going to be a top championship side next year anyway. Southampton is shite. They're going down last. Get him ready now. Get him suited to your team. I won't loan him back out again personally. And that's not because I don't like Wednesdays. Because if I was a Southampton fan, I would want to see my own player. But yeah, Leeds, even though I said there's nothing really separating them in between both boxes, the thing that is going to get him promoted easily is both boxes. So I think they could end up... Obviously, at the minute, it's still very tight with top four. But I think they could be 10 points cleared by, like, April. Looking at table, Plymouth... You know, like last year, at bottom at league, there were like some massive last day drama with loads of different teams. Anybody could have lost and gone down. And then they were just Rotherham at bottom. Plymouth or Rotherham. They'll be down with 4 or 5 games left, I think. Luton are in serious shite. But Bloomfield, I don't know. I sort of believe in Bloomfield, to be honest with you. The real side that I think are in this slight scrap, you could, to be fair, I would still say Oxford are sort of involved in this. I really would. Rowett's been really good since he's come in. But I would say there's a clear cut-off here. Even though Coventry and Oxford are at the same point, I would say Coventry are looking upwards. Oxford are still sort of looking downwards. Like, mentally. So if I'm saying Oxford down, the side that I'm most confident in to stay up at minute is Hull. But just because of what Ruben Sellers has instilled in them straight away. It's very hard to break down and very hard to score again. So I think Hull will be fine. Portsmouth, I think, will be fine for a long time. Just based on the goal-scoring record that they've got. To be fair, Cardiff have been chipping away recently quite well. I'm struggling. I am genuinely struggling to pick some sides. Derby could be in bother. Luton could be in bother. To be fair, Stoke recently have been chipping away quite nicely. But Mike Robbins is a very good manager. Millwall could be in bother. I don't know. It's tough down at bottom. It really is. But then looking at top, QPR for me, I'm being serious. I think these have got a little bit of an outside chance of getting in. Because Blackburn downwards, what we're saying here, 42 to... If you want to say 35, QPR are reals. I don't think Swansea will do anything. Coventry, like I've said, I think they could be an outsider for it. But you're looking at 7 points from QPR upwards to get into playoffs. All these teams have got a serious chance. And again, it's tough to call. Let's just go with what we know. Your top 4 has pulled away. Definitely. There is no way that any of these finish lower than 4th. Burnley and Sunderland on the Friday night. There weren't much separating them. Leeds, I think, will go up regardless. Sheffield United, a minute. I don't know. I just don't know. Let's just look at League One, honestly, because that I do know. Sadly. Right, well, there's been a lot going on this week. We'll vaguely talk about Shrewsbury versus Wrexham because it feels like a lifetime ago at this point. Shrewsbury, I'm convinced will stay up, and I have been for a long time since Ayers was coming. Wrexham's away form is crap, and when I saw this happen, I was like, yes, the Reds. Lol. I'm not going to go into this too much because games come around so fast. There's obviously Birmingham and Wrexham on Thursday again, which we'll be doing the watch along for, by the way. That this is almost like irrelevant at this point, but I do think Shrewsbury will stay up. Let's talk about this. So Blackpool 2, Huddersfield 2 first, which were an half 12. Quite an even game. Obviously, Blackpool were 2-0 up at half time, but the immediate thing I'm noticing here, they've started Charles and Taylor straight away. Duffy's not messing about. He's putting his £4 million strike force on pitch straight away. Taylor has already scored. Had minimal chances from what I've seen, him personally in this game. But the touch and finish for that goal is serious quality straight away. And that is the difference between, say, obviously Birmingham are outside, but the difference between 4th and 5th, Huddersfield and Barnsley, and the higher-ups and the boards of Huddersfield and Barnsley is that these want promotion. Huddersfield are going for promotion. They are spending money to try and get promoted. We, our owners, are hoping to get promoted. I genuinely do not think our board want it as much as someone like Huddersfield because they're going to drop in £4 million on a strike force. We have needed a striker for about 6 years. Since Winall left, we have not had a serious number 9. Very good finish. To be fair, the Spencer one for a full-back, basically, to have curled that into top bins. Tidy. Blackpool, I think, are just chipping away mid-table quite nicely. 4 draws on bounce. Again, a variety of different teams up and down table. Birmingham to Wickham, up to Huddersfield again. But they've not got enough to get in there. The 10 points off now, that's where we're starting to see like a bit of a gap forming there. But at the same time, 10 points at bottom 4, so they're fine. Just mid-table obscurity this season for Blackpool. Huddersfield, they're going to take some beat into getting second. Because this is not the best game, but they're still, from 2-0 down, can find a way to bring points back with them. Peterborough 0, Nathan Orient 0, don't care. Northampton 0, Lincoln 1. In fairness, don't care again, if I'm being completely honest with you. Northampton, I do expect to stay up, but they've got a lot of injuries at the minute, and they're not making enough signings fast. So, could be a rough month, but I do still think they'll be sound. Lincoln, nice win, needed. Get ball rolling a little bit because they are starting to, again, drift away from the pack, really. Birmingham 1, Exeter 0. Again, don't care. Exeter didn't have a shot all game. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Birmingham won 1-0. There's not loads and loads of shots. It's quite boring, but it's efficient. And they're winning games, and that's all that matters. So it's just an easy title for Birmingham. Take it, move on, go. What a year. He's got to be sacked now. Seriously, he's got to be sacked. What I'm about to say about like future games, like the Barnsley one, is completely different to this one, even though I'm going to be saying roughly the same things. Bolton have created a lot of chances, but they're not scoring enough. None of these chances that they missed, I don't think, are serious clear-cut chances. I think Cambridge defended quite well. Bolton, however, defend like idiots. Honestly, they're useless, some of these players. Or they're made to look useless by the man controlling the strings of them. Santos, I've never seen the bloke look this shit in my life. He is an absolute mountain. For previous years, for past 2 years that I've been watching this league properly while Barnsley have been in it, he has been an absolute rock. He's been easily one of the best defenders in this league. They've previously turned down big bids from him from Championship, to my knowledge. But this year, he is not the same. He looks completely like shot for confidence. He don't look that arsed, in fairness. And for someone who's like a serious asset to Bolton, and a large part of why Bolton have conceded minimal goals, really, for the last like 3 years while they've been here and chasing promotion, they just look miles off it. They've dropped £1 million on Randall and not got like a successful pass out of him yet. He don't look anywhere near as good. McAtee, decent finish in fairness. But I don't think, even though they're creating a lot of shots, they're not good chances that they make. It's like hyperinflated stats all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yes, they've had 71% possession and 18 shots, but none of the shots, apart from McAtee's goal, are ones where you're like, you've got to score that. You know what I mean? They're not putting stuff on plates for people constantly. I did call a draw in this, to be fair, and it's a really, really good point for Cambridge. They battled away hard. They looked like they had serious faith in them for once, because they've not looked like that for a long time, I don't think. Like 4 losses on bounce before this previously. But it's a good point for a side that's absolutely horrendously shit away. Still got a lot to do to stay up, but Bolton, I just can't anymore. Right, here we go. Bristol Rovers 3, Barnsley 1. I'm not going to sit here and talk about this for 10 minutes because, frankly, I don't think there's a lot to say. Bristol Rovers, for some reason, have had his number this year. Like, we bet them 2-1 in league at home, but we had 45,000 shots at home in FA Cup. Didn't score. Again, we've had, 25 shots here and only scored 1. I'm not overly bothered by this result because the performance is still there. We're creating so many chances. We've had more shots in league by a mile, honestly, this year so far, which is crazy to think about. But we're just not scoring enough goals. We're not clinical enough in grand scheme of things. The best 2 finishers in club, Phillips, who's a midfielder, and Keeler Dunn, who's a midfielder that's been shoved up front. The difference, like I said, between us and Huddersfield is that they've gone and bought what they've needed. They've gone and bought the strikers that they need. We aren't doing it for some reason. We're 20 days into transfer window. We've known we've needed a striker since October, and yet we've brought in a wing back and nothing else. And we're not even like heavily linked with anybody at the minute, which is really annoying. Just go and get a loan. There are no loans in this team. Good. Just go and get something that is going to propel us and get us promoted. Between both boxes, we're brilliant. We're easily one of the best in league. In both boxes, unfortunately, we're a little bit slack. I do still think we'll go up. I'm being completely serious. I do. I'm not going to chop and change on that anymore. I do think we will go up. The performances have been there for a long time. The results have been there recently. We've won 4 in a row. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be that stupid. But it shows we were lacking, which is finishing, clearly. Do you know what I mean? This could have and should have been like a 5-6 goals for us. But what seems to always happen with us is Griffiths, or whoever keeper is in opposition net, as a blinder. So, thank you again. Really good win for Bristol Rovers. It's 2 in a row now. Sort of pulled himself away from this a little bit. 7-point gap. It's going to be hard for someone like Crawley to claw that back. Do you know what I mean? Shrewsbury, however, I think they probably could. Speaking of, Crawley and Burton 1-1. Again, that were like an easy nailed-on draw to call. Burton, I just think, have looked miles off it all year. Crawley have got a little bit of fight in them. A little bit. But I do just think both of these are going down, unfortunately. The real serious team at bottom that has got a chance of getting out is Shrewsbury, and it has been for a while. Mansfield 1, Wickham 2. I mean, Wickham have scored from a penalty. Yeah, it says penalty miss, but he scored rebound afterwards. That's a good finish in 87th minute. I do think, from what I've seen, Mansfield look wasteful in front of goals. Obviously, they both had the same amount of shots, and the XG is massively inflated due to penalty and then tapping afterwards, which probably equates to like 1.8 of this XG. Mansfield, if they take the chances, which they've been very good at for the majority of this season, like Gregory and Evans have been really clinical, this could have been a Mansfield win. However, you need them little bit. You need a little bit of luck, don't you? If you want to get promoted or stay up, you need luck in football, and Wickham have got that in this game. Serious character to go to someone like Mansfield, who've been very good, and win. Especially with all shit that's going on, like behind the scenes with Wickham. Reading 1, Stockport 3. This is a big one. I did not expect a Stockport win. Definitely not a comfortable one. A lot of set piece goals here, which, to be fair, Reading did look weak on when we played them. They're quite a small side, just from looking at it, they look a bit soft. And for a side that at home in this division, Reading, are very, very good. Like, they're obviously second, or joint second before this game. They'd only lost 2 games, won 9. Really, really good win for Stockport. And it keeps them, like, in chasing. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they're back into 6 when they're keeping up with us. Because this is getting tight as well. From, like, Mansfield upwards, these are serious sides that have got a chance of gaining, and the points that he's close. Reading, I think, will slide down. I've been saying it for a while now, like in the prediction vid that I just did. I think they will slide down a little bit. But Stockport, yes, they finally won. But his character this, you're like, yes, you've lost Louis Barry. Yes, I've always spoken about the negatives of that because you're easily best player. Do you know what I mean? Probably best player in the league. But the middle of the pitch for them, Camps, Collar, and Norwood, like Norwood especially, he just oozes clash. You know what I mean? It's serious experience, good know-how. Can grind games out and results. You'd think they're going to keep win touching distance. Stockport definitely. Reading, I don't think will. Speaking of somebody who's like peeping over the horizon a little bit, Rotherham 4, Charlton 2. We've got 4 for the last 5. Obviously, Charlton are there as well. Rotherham up to 4th for the last 5. Last 10, Rotherham are performing like a playoff team. 4 wins in 5. It's no loss in 6. Yeah, one of them is in that cup to Chesterfield. But they're looking better. Do you know what I mean? They look a lot sharper. They look faster. Especially with the decision making. They're not making loads and loads of clear-cut chances. Do you know what I mean? They are relying on scraps a lot of time and being quite physical in the middle and then playing players through quite fast on breaks like like Wilkes, for example, really fast on break. But it's definitely a deserved win against a side that don't really concede a lot of goals. Charlton, really. And it's already been established that Charlton are just sort of miles off. But Rotherham, only 7 points off now. Yeah, I've just said that like Mansfield will be a serious challengers, which I think they are. But you never know. You never know. Do you know what I mean? There's always a little chance. Maybe as long as Steve don't eat anybody, they're all right. And then again, why does this joke keep like falling in my lap? We're talking about Steve again. Stevenage 1, Wigan 2 to end it all. 2 red cards in this game. Wigan were 1-0 up and had a red card. Then Stevenage pulled it back. But had a man sent off through some really shit defending. Like, honestly, it's shocking. He was fuming after with somebody else. I don't know why, because he's legged him for no reason. For second yellow. It's not even like he's through on goal. There's another like 2 defenders behind him. But he's legged him for now. Literally for nothing. And for resulting free kick, Asgard scored and won up game. It's shocking from this lad. You're in 93rd minute. It's not real screaming danger. It's not like he's 1-on-1 and you've got to take him to make sure you win game. There's another couple of defenders there. You could have just, or at least tried playing it off a little bit. And then Asgard, let me look at his stats just quickly. What's he on this year so far? So 9 goal contributions in 24, 22. There's a lot of attacking minded midfielders in this league who are scoring a lot of goals, like Phillips, for example. But I feel like, and a lot of championship teams are looking at Phillips. I feel like championship teams are going to be looking at Asgard, and I could see him leaving this window. I really could. Because Wigan, like, the thing is, Wigan and Barnsley are both going to want multi-millions for either Phillips or Asgard. I do think Wigan have been more inclined to sell than we would, personally. And obviously, Asgard being a lot younger, I do think there's potential that he could leave this window. Very tidy player, that lad. But looking at the table, Burton and Cambridge, I'm still convinced, even though they've just both got points, are going down. Shrewsbury, I think, will stay up. Crawley, I can't see it. There's obviously a gap starting to form here, but Northampton, with the amount of injuries that they've got a minute, could be dragged into it before the players are back, which is a worry. Bristol Rovers up, as I think, are fine. Obviously, Wigan are sort of like pulling away as well now. And they're quite a well-drilled side, Wigan. I do think if they'd have had like a bit more quality across pitch, they'd have been a lot higher up in division, because the manager and the way that they're playing is suited to this division quite well. Rotherham are sort of chipping away and working their way upwards. Lincoln finally get a win, which they've needed for a while. Mansfield obviously lost, but I don't think it's end at world, in fairness. Bolton, I don't even know anymore. Leighton Orient finally dropped points, by the way. But I do still think it's a top 5. I don't think it's a top 4. I do think it is a top 5, despite the points saying otherwise at the minute. I genuinely do. Wickham, really, really big and impressive win away at their place. Need to get some bodies in quite quickly, I think, and sort this manager situation out fast. But Birmingham, 2 points clear, 2 games in hand. It's done. What a boring side you are since you've come down. You just come here, win every game, take piss and off. Why don't you get a grip? But that's that. Absolute pleasure, boys. Thank you as always for watching. Make sure you like the video, please, and subscribe. There's going to be a lot of videos this week. I think if I planned this properly, I think there's 6 videos this week. Subscribe! We're doing a watch along on Thursday for Birmingham and Shrewsbury, so if you're here, then click the button. Thank you very much. Also, any goats that are here, kiss. If you know, you know. Love you all. Thank you as always. Pleasure. See you in a bit. Kiss. I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.